Hello YouTubers, this is Trainman122. So, I figured I might as well just get right back into Garry's mod again because there is just so many more trains that I want to show off to you guys. Basically, there has been quite the list of developed locomotives between me, my friend Warhawk, and I think various other contributors to my list of trains that I have. Um, so I wanted to try and go through a few of them, or at least the most notable ones, and show you what this game is capable of. It's not perfect by any means, no game is, but I wanted to show you guys what a little bit of hard work can get you if you take some time and just apply yourself to this game for some bit of time. And as of right now, I believe Garry's mod is $10. I want to think it's still $10. I wouldn't know. I purchased this game like years ago and played it for a while back when it was just the physics mods, and you couldn't really build a train too well with that. They looked really weird. You'll see some of them older videos. I'm sure you've been around YouTube enough to see the old Garry's Mod trains. But now we have a sort of new era where the modders for this game have gotten smarter, found more loopholes and so forth, that we were able to get models in here. And then there's another mod called S-Props that allows you to have different kinds of shapes, different kinds of sizes of those shapes, and that's what really lets people apply that kind of technology to other trains, as well as build entire steam locomotives out of these mods. So it's crazy what you can do with this now, and it's true there's a limitation based on the game's ability to render all of this. If you use too much of props, if you use too much constraints, meaning the parts holding everything together, if you don't do something just right, it can cause a lot of in-game lag and sometimes even crashes, depending on the nature of the issue there. But if you know what you're doing, like me and Warhawk are, you can pretty much get a lot done in this. So as of late, I've been mostly on the diesel locomotives. I used to help out my friend Warhawk with building those steam locomotives, but as of late he's kind of become independent a little bit. But every once in a while I get to meet up with him again, and he'll give me a steam locomotive that if he's okay with it, he'll give me a steam locomotive or two, and they're really, really beautiful. I showed off a couple of them in my last video. The Allegheny, the nickel plate, all those beautiful locomotives. But I wanted to show off a little bit more of what I have done to get my stuff out of the way. Because, to be fairly honest, even though they look pretty, my stuff is actually pretty simple. Right now what I have here in front of you is the Silver Street Commuter service. This is a train of my own design. Well, not the locomotive and the train cars models. Those were made by Magnum's Train Pack. And I believe also, are those Extremer 9000 train cars? I don't remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember every piece of prop that I use for everything. But in any case, that is the F7A. That's 4 train cars, the last one being an observation car that you can't see right now. I'll get to that in a little bit. This is a train that I made myself. It's much like how Amtrak has different types of trains. They got the Silver Meteor, the Lakeshore Limited, the Empire Service, the Maple Leaf, all that stuff. That is kind of what I was going for here, except the name is a lot more showing, I guess is the proper word for that. Basically, this train works for the Equestrian Railroad. Most of you already know this. I'm what you'd call a brony, a fan of the children's TV show My Little Pony. It's besides the point. I based this off of the train world. I'm sorry, the train company that they have in that show, the EQRR, Equestrian Railroad. But mine is it's just a commuter train that I put together. So, let's see here. That is the gist of this. The commuter service, lines. What else was there? There's this, which I've aptly named Fluttershy's Garden. This is also my logo. In hindsight, I shouldn't have used this kind of logo. What I was going for was a double S. You can almost see it right here too. See, silver streak, double S. And then I added, brown pieces to look like the ties underneath the rails. Well, in hindsight, looking into this and getting reactions from everyone else, this actually turned out to be kind of a funny one because, well, it looks like the tracks are bent out of place and my train's about to derail because the tracks weren't well taken care of or something like that. And, well, they're kind of right. But, it's an interesting logo or a harbinger of doom. We don't know. It's really up to your interpretation. The interiors look a lot better on this one. Most of you may have seen my 20th Century Limited passenger train from the New York Central. Basically, the interior looked horrible. And that's mostly because I had to yellow tint the windows, which was kind of done haphazardly. And then I also had to use two different types of train cars for the observation car, where one being this flat-faced one and the other one being the rounded one, so that I could get the windows in the correct position. It's kind of hard to explain, and I might do it in a later video, but in any case, that's why the interior looks so weird. It's because it's technically two train cars sliced up and just put together. It looked really weird. But that's the gist of the Silver Streak commuter service. There's a few other little details here, like it's got the startup sound, a full startup sound. Headlights are fine. I even created I believe it's called oscillating headlamp, where if you activate the bell, the lower headlight oscillates. This is that's actually what used to be the normal thing back in the day, until they created ditch lights that you can see here on the Amtrak. The ditch lights nowadays, they're just down here. They flash back and forth. Well, much like this. Sorry, forgot. Headlight. Now again, game limitations. Normally the lights would be turning off and on in rapid succession, much kind of like what they're doing here. But yeah, you can do funny things like that. It's weird. But you get used to it. You do what you can. And this train is just an older version of, any old Amtrak commuter train. Well, I say commuter train, it's probably more like a medium distance Amtrak train. In my area, we have the Maple Leaf and the Empire service. They both look exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the destination. where the Maple Leaf goes all the way to Toronto, Canada, and then down to New York City. The Empire service stops at Niagara Falls, New York side, and then to New York City. Yeah, that's the only difference. But this is, you know, your basic stuff. Just a couple of Amtrak coaches, and then the last train car is a diner, or a cafe car, if you will. Yeah, there you go. I actually got to be inside one of these ones some time ago. And it was neat. It was really nice. The food was kind of expensive. I paid $5 for a microwavable hot dog. But you know, these particular train cars were created by my friend, we call him Union, much like Union Pacific. See, the story behind that is his in-game name used to be Union Pacific, or engineer of Union Pacific, and we called him Union for short. Now we call him Funyun, like the bags of Funyun onion ring, fried onion ring chips. Funyun. He made those train cars, and I think he also made this F40PH here. I don't remember. But, you know, if you really like how they look, then go ahead and give him all the credit on that. He, I think, did a beautiful job on these amphiletes. Got shelves. It's got plenty of room. And lots of seating. These seats look almost correct. They don't have the ugly shade of blue fabric that the amphiletes normally do. But yeah, that's pretty much that. So let's run these things in a circle. After all, we are on train set Snowy. Train set. This is a map made by, I think, Magnum. Go. I have set up these trains in such a way that they are able to do 60 miles an hour on this map without derailing, or at least my commuter service one is. I don't know about the Amtrak. The Amtrak's still kind of in development. I'm still trying to get it to stop derailing. I don't know if that's been fixed yet or not. We'll find out. So here we go. Yeah, that's not good. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and go on record and say there were no people in this train. Nobody was injured in the making of this accident. Yeah, I apologize for that. It seems that I haven't played on this particular map in a long time, so maybe it's not as easy as I thought it was to run a train on it. Well, you know what? Let's find out if the Amtrak does this as well, if it can stay on the tracks or not. Again, keep in mind, there's nobody being injured here. This is all simulation. Technically, it's a sandbox game, but whatever. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Forgot to unfreeze it. seems to be holding okay. And then I am immediately eating my words. Okay. Once again, nobody was harmed in the making of this accident. But, you know, they run normally on the high-speed one. Sunset Gulch is the name of the other one, as well as Northeast Corridor. Those are both high-speed maps. This one's not particularly meant for high speed, but I used to be able to get trains to go pretty good on this map, speed-wise. Maybe that was only with the 20th Century Limited. I don't remember. Anyways, transition! Okay, so the next two are relatively well-known. Well, at least I know the Daylight one is well-known. I don't know if everyone knows about the J3a. Well, I know I do. It's my favorite steam locomotive that ever was created. Yeah, we're not 100% on this one. I know there's not supposed to be a gap here. It's supposed to be filled with pipes and everything. But, you know, we have limitations to how many props we can put in these things before it starts to lag, hurt the game, crash the game, all that kind of stuff. Steam locomotives tend to be very high in that regard, which in fact... 1,472 props. That's how many props, how many individual pieces were used to put all of this together. 1,500 props. Just under 1,500 props. Yep. It's crazy. The amount of work and detail that goes into this. And these were both made by Warhawk, by the way. I don't remember if I had any part in either of these. And the driver bases are usually made by Dennis the Can. So that's pretty much a given at most of the time. I'm sorry to say that I've come up on a blank as to who took part in building of these ones. I want to say I had something to do with this particular one. This is the older version. I think he's recently updated the Daylight too. He did a much better version. He built it a little bit better. But in any case, I'm going to show off these two. These ones have full cab interiors. I think it all looks pretty nice. And then we got the headlight, the Mars lamp, cabin light, tender light. Yeah, you can see the Mars lamp is just kind of going off over there. It's swinging around. Let's turn that one off. Normally you wouldn't be able to have those on without any steam going through, because that's actually how they generate the electricity for those, is a little steam generator up on the front. There we go. Oh yeah, the smoke effects are tied to the same thing, so we'll just leave that be. Yeah, that's the oscillating light. That's the normal headlight. Yeah, I got to see this one when I was out in Oregon. Well, technically I was out in Washington at railroad school, but you know, I was within a stone's throw of Oregon, and I got to go to the Oregon Heritage Center, Rail Heritage Center. That's the foghorn. And I got to see this one while it was being, it was under its inspection. So the firebox door was wide open. I got to see inside there. They had just been cutting into the firebox itself. I'm sorry, that's not the firebox door. That's the smoke box. Please forgive me. Smoke box. I was able to see straight into it. Looked really neat. Yeah, don't look inside these. You'll be, your everything will be ruined. I got to see inside the firebox because they had this piece torn off. I looked up inside of it. I got camera footage of it and everything. Pictures. I may bring that up on my YouTube at some point. Show all the videos I took out in Washington and Oregon. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Of course, this one is oil fired. That means oil is fed from the tender into the locomotive firebox and set ablaze and boils the water, creates the steam, which is then pressurized and fed into the pistons. This is my favorite. The New York Central J3a. Now, you do have to keep something in mind when you see these, because there is actually multiple variations of the J3a in other railroads, or rather a J1E. Was it J1A? They sometimes the names of locomotives, especially steam locomotives, was very inconsistent back in those days, because most railroads could actually finance the build of a customized steam locomotive, one that was custom to their railroad operations, and they pretty much named it whatever they felt like. So, like, there's a J1E for New York Central and a J1E for, I think it was, like, Pennsylvania Railroad. I'm probably horribly butchering the names. But this is the J3a streamlined variant. This was the later streamlined. They had multiple versions of this. The J3a could be freight variant, which was, you know, normal. It looked absolutely normal. It's your typical steam locomotive. In fact, it is widely known as one of the most iconic depictions of a steam locomotive. Is just a 464 black with a boiler and a normal front. Then there's the Vanderbilt version, I believe is what it was called. Looked like an upside down bathtub. And then there's this one, which is the Dreyfus Hudson. I don't really know how to spell that out for you. It's either Dreyfus or Dreyfus. It depends on who you talk to as to which one it is. I call it Dreyfus. It's just easier. It rolls off the tongue better. And this is just pretty simple. There is a normal looking steam locomotive under all this, but they added a type of sheeting on the top of it and color to make it look like a bullet, to give it an aerodynamic look. And it did produce a little bit of aerodynamic cost-saving fuel design, but it was only a little bit. For the most part, these kinds of looks were only for show. This was around the time when the railroads were fighting competition against the buses and airplanes and vehicles, cars. This is around the time when those started getting really popular. So they were basically fighting for that. People weren't using passenger service as much anymore, and they needed to step up their game. You know, make shorter train distances in less time, or longer train distances in less time, like the 16-hour 20th Century Limited from Chicago to New York. How do you do that in 16 hours? Well, you speed. That's pretty much that. That and probably also diesel power took over and they were able to get up to speed faster. Who knows? But yeah, things like that. It used to be 20 hours, then it turned to 16 hours, and it just got intense. For steam locomotives, they took on this design to look better to the public eye because nobody wanted to be stuck behind a sooty old black diesel or sooty old steam locomotive. Didn't mean to say diesel. Yeah, the interior's still a little worse for wear. I don't know what we were thinking with that. And this has my most favorite whistle. As you can see, it's that little golden cylinder there, right there. Let's just watch this. It's just so loud and proud. It's a 5 chime off of oh, what was it? Was it Great Northern? I don't fully remember what this particular sound came from, but I love it. I believe the chuffing sound came off of a Hall class British steam locomotive. It's got a really nice deep chuff to it, and that's what I love about it. So that's a little bit of information for you. Now this will be a hookup of the century here. I don't think you will ever, well, not even think, I know you will never see anything like this in real life, because the J3a Hudsons are unfortunately extinct. They're all gone. They don't exist anymore. It's really unfortunate, as they are my favorite locomotives of all time. I love these steam locomotives, the 464s, especially the streamlined variant right here. I love them, but back in the days when everything started to turn over to diesel locomotives, the Hudsons just didn't survive. They were all shipped off to scrap yards and turned into just your everyday metal products like shavers and things like that. There is a coupler on the front of these. It's a hidden one. Normally this plow right here would have a little compartment that you could flip around, and it would have a coupler sticking out of it. We, at the time that we built this, didn't have that kind of technology to pull that off. I think we do now, but for now, just imagine there's a coupler there. Okay? Okay. And what am I going to do here? I'm going to hook it from there over to about, yeah, right about here. And then this is going to stay that way. And there we go. Yeah. I'm on a server where other people can be on the server. It's not private. It's just password protected and given out to few. Yeah, I was afraid that would happen. And it rewrited itself and everything. I think I set that rope a little too high. So to avoid any accidents, let's go ahead and re-rope that. So what I did was, I went to the middle of that one. I believe setting it there was just a little bit too high, so I'm going to set it a little lower. That should be about right. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, you can see it's still not too happy about it. Yep, rip tender. Oh, that's all kinds of rip. Luckily, I just got into an area that re-railed it, but yeah, it's not going to stay re-railed for long. Yeah, see, the issue is all the weight is trying to pull it off the tracks when you go around the curve. I know there's a way to fix this. It would just be apply power to the rear locomotive, reduce weight, add weight somewhere else, things like that. I've not taken any of that into account as this is just a short video, but this is stuff that you can easily do in Garry's mod. It's as long as you figure it all out and learn it all, it becomes pretty easy. Yeah, this train's not going to last much longer. Yeah, there goes the tender again. It's always the tender, by the way. Anytime there's a derailment, it's usually the tender that goes first. And that's that. Just like that, it's all cleaned up. There's one little bit left that I wanted to show for you guys, and it's actually a pretty neat one, but I was gonna go to it's gonna go up here. This is a place that not too many people know about, okay? I don't know if everyone should know about it, but here goes. Yeah, there it is. I apologize. It went the wrong way. This is a secondary map that technically takes place in the same map. It's hard to explain. Or is this the attic? I forget. Basically, let's start with, is it this one? Yeah, that's about it. This is the non-tender version. I don't remember why I ever saved it without the tender, but that's it. And so, there's also the other version of it that I wanted to show off to you guys that I think you guys will enjoy very much. And we have, it's up here. It's the the smaller scale. It's a miniature scale. I believe, yeah, we called it G gauge. I don't think it's technically G gauge. Oh, that must be an earlier save of the nickel plate. Okay, we'll not use that one. You don't need it. Everyone knows what the nickel plate looks like. Look at it. It's so cute. It's so cute. And then we also have this one. Let's go ahead and spin that a little bit. About 90 degrees in the other direction. These aren't to scale by any means. Yeah, as you can see, the Allegheny overtakes the nickel plate by a lot in scale, but you know, the Allegheny is a pretty big locomotive anyway, so. And these are just a lot of fun because they use a special type of mod. I believe it was Sligwolf's mini trains, I think is what we went with. And some S-props, some well-placed S-props, as well as a couple of other choice pieces to make rideable trains. Like this. They used to have sound and everything. I apologize. They don't... there's been a couple of updates that has changed where the sound directories go and everything like that, so after those updates I'd have to change the directory and everything to get it all back. Oh yeah, this one's not happy. This is an articulated mini. Articulation! Whee! Yeah, okay. That one can go away. But this one is a little bit more stable. Oh, and this one has smoke. I forgot about that. Whee! Did I say stable? I meant demented. I'm just gonna leave that be. Bye everybody.